Hello and welcome to Hot Money Technicals on BloombergQuint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. This is a show which gives you a complete wrap of all the stocks that are buzzing in trade. I'm Darshan Mehta. Let's welcome our experts then. Aditya Agarwala of your Securities and Kunal Rambhia of the Street now join me on the show. Many thanks to my guests for joining me today. Before we begin with the show with our analysts, let's bring in Yash Upadhyay, who has a chart on L&T Finance this time around. Good afternoon, Yash. What does the chart indicate?
There is weakness is what the charts are indicating. 4 out of the last 5 trading sessions, the stock has been, trading on the downside, and we are seeing the weakness come in today's day of trade as well. This is the long-term weekly chart of L&T Finance, and as you could see, it has met with a stiff resistance at the upper end of its trend line, and we are seeing that for this week, we are seeing a formation which is similar to what you call a Maru Bozu, where the open is equal to the high and the low is equal to the low of the week. The week is yet to, the day is yet to get over, and we'll come to know about that in some time. But currently, there is an indication that we are seeing significant amount of weakness. Additionally, each and every time that the RSI on the weekly chart has touched the mark of 60, we've seen the stock reverse from the levels that it has been. So take a look at the example here. When in June 2018, when it hit the mark of 60, the stock came off from the levels of almost 180 to as low as 120. Then again, in March of 2019, we saw a similar pattern. The stock was somewhere around 155, 160, and again it came down to 120. And today's day of trade as well, it was as of yesterday's close at the mark of 120, and we saw that weakness come in yet again, and the RSI giving a negative divergence as well. So multiple factors indicating weakness in the count of 4 of the last 5 trading sessions have ended in lower. Volumes too have been moderately high, almost 1.5 times the 30-day average.
Okay, yes, thanks so much for that. What's your sense on this, Aditya? It's rally from 80 to 120. Do you see that the rally might fizzle out now?
It should fizzle out. Darshan, 111 to about 111.5 is an immediate support. Stock did take support today at that level, and from there it's bounced back a little bit. If it continues to trade below 111.5, I'll go fresh short on the stock. My downside target can accentuate to levels of 108 to about 105 in the coming trading weeks. So closely watch out for 111.5. If that is broken on the downside, go fresh short for targets of 108, 105.
Okay, so till that you won't trade?
I won't trade. I would wait for the stock to break down from 111.5.
Okay, Kunal, what's your sense on the count?
So, no, if I'm looking at the weekly chart, the way Yash highlighted, there is a resistance mark, certainly, but there was a very decisive breakout on the weekly chart again. So the retesting near to 105, 106 zone can be expected. If someone wants to go short right now, can think of shorting the counter, but near 105, it's, that would be the time to revisit the counter to find out the buying opportunity.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Let's start with the first round of charts. Aditya has a chart on Ashok Leyland. Let's get Aditya here. Let's put up the chart. It's a sell call that's coming in. Obviously, a rally has been seen, but then again, it's meeting up with resistance, it seems.
Exactly, Darshan. So this is a downward sloping trend line. I've joined the highs, the recent highs that the stock has made, and the recent rally that we witnessed post correction exactly took resistance at that trend line, downward sloping trend line. And what is interesting to note right now, it's trading in an upward sloping channel, and it's almost broken down in trade today. So this is if this continues to slide lower, my sense is the stock will definitely head to lower levels of 66, 62 in the coming trading weeks. Along with that, take a look at these two moving averages. This is a 100 DMA, this is the 200 DMA, and it's almost after like a gap of 3 years, the 100 DMA is about to break down the 200 DMA. So this is a negative crossover which is about to take place between the 100 and the 200 DMA. So this is another confirmation, and if it does so, probably if the stock continues to trade below 78 levels, this is bound to cross down on the downward side, and then this will be a confirmation of the weakness in the stock. Along with that, take a look at the RSI. RSI has formed a negative reversal. What is a negative reversal? RSI makes a higher high, whereas a price makes a lower high. So right now what we see is RSI has made a higher high, three highs on the RSI we witnessed. Look at the price, this was the high, this was the high, and this was the high. So prices are making lower highs, whereas RSI is making higher highs. So these two signify that the stock is getting overbought at a lower level. This tells that the bears are dominating the stock, and there's more selling pressure which will emerge once the stock breaks down from the channel. It's almost done so in trade today. If we move to a higher higher time frame chart, again, stock had broken down. So this was an inverted head and this was a head and shoulders from which the stock had broken down. This is on the monthly time frame. And take a look at what it did. It reversed, retested the neckline of the breakdown, and from there it's resuming its downward trend. So this is another confirmation of the weakness in the stock. So one should look to short the stock on the future segment. They can hold on to the short positions, go short at current levels, add on to it for a target of 66, 62 with a stop loss at around 83.
And you think that once the downtrend happens, it will be a swift move that will come in?
It will be a swift one. My sense is the selling pressure will intensify once the breakdown happens, and then you could see sharp downside move of 7 to 8% in like no trading time.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Aditya. What's your sense on Kunal, on Ashok Leyland?
No, certainly this counter is again one of the laggards in the entire sector. If you look at the trend line right from the bottom of September till now, it's taken out decisively. Most team on the lower side will be, say, once it triggers a 74 mark on the lower side. I'm also eyeing the counter to reach somewhere near to the 60 mark.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. So consensus view there on the negative side. The next chart is from Kunal, and his chart is on Maruti Suzuki. Maruti Suzuki has been all of volatile over the past few weeks. Let's pull up the chart and see what exactly is it. It's a buy call according to you, I believe.
No, it's a bearish call again.
Okay.
So this has been the counter on the screen since almost one and a half month. We are continuously finding the shorting opportunities. The first highlighted counter was the level was this, which you can see clearly near the zone of 7,700 or something, where it halted. There was a minor uptrend which started somewhere in the beginning of September. There was a higher top, higher bottom formation, but this time it's getting converted into lower top, lower bottom formation. If I come on to RSI, so the last entire zone of prices which was laggard, RSI has completely given up and it has made a new bottom compared to the previous bottom. That shows the weakness grabbing into the counter. Again, coming back to the prices, if I look at the daily chart, we don't need to convert it, but here is the inverse cup and handle formation, which is taken down decisively again. And I was again waiting for yesterday's low to be taken out, which is already taken out in today's session. So, keeping the stop loss of 7,300, I'm eyeing the stock to reach somewhere in the zone of 6,000.
So short now also, you believe?
Absolutely. It's a best short opportunity which is available. The entire sector is not doing well, and this is again one of the leaders in non-performance as of now.
Okay, so Ashok Leyland and again Maruti short. Thanks so much for that. Kunal, what's your sense? Aditya, would you agree?
So there is immediate support somewhere around 6,800 to about 6,780 zone. So if I short at current levels, my risk to reward is not in favor of going short. On the flip side, I would look to go long somewhere around 6,800 with a stop at 6,700, because after a long downward trajectory, stock had broken out from a downward sloping trend line, and it was seen on the weekly charts and on the higher time frame charts that it started to form a higher high, higher low base. So that tells that a trend reversal which took place a few months ago or about a few weeks ago could be retested somewhere around 6,800. So if 6,800 level holds, I would not shy away from taking a long position with a stop loss at 6,700 for again target of 7,500 on Maruti.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Let's begin with the second round of chart. Aditya has a chart on Mahanagar Gas. Let's pull up the chart and look out at what Aditya's view is. Again, you believe that the trend line is broken?
Yes. So again, Mahanagar Gas, this is on the daily time frame. If we join the lows, we get an upward sloping trend line, and if we join the highs, we again get a upward sloping trend line. So this is more of a channel pattern that we see on the Mahanagar Gas counter. And if we clearly see in trade yesterday, it had broken down from the channel, and in trade today, it's failed to. It is making an attempt to get back inside the channel, but it's failing to do so. So this tells that the selling pressure has intensified in Mahanagar Gas and could slide lower. Along with that, if I take a look at the RSI, again, RSI is making a negative divergence out here. So it's continuously forming lower highs, which tells that the bears are dominating at all higher levels. The bears are shorting the stock. So this tells that the weakness is getting into the stock. If we flip to a higher time frame chart, this is a very interesting observation on Mahanagar Gas. If you clearly see, it's been for quite some time that the stock has been oscillating in a vertical horizontal channel. And take a look at this level. This is around 1,065. Stock failed to take out that, came down all the way to sub 800 levels. Again, it made an attempt to 1,065, again failed to do so, and again retested sub 800 levels, and now again it has come to those levels, and again from there it has failed to take out that level. level, and this is on the weekly time frame wherein we are witnessing a bearish candlestick pattern. This is more of a bearish Harami candlestick pattern on the weekly time frame, which suggests that this is a stiff resistance to take out for the stock. And considering the fact that it is almost there at the upper end of the range, it's a good trading bet to go short on Mahanagar Gas, keeping a stop somewhere around 1065, looking for a downside target of 980. And if 980 is taken out, we could also test levels of 870 on the downside. Again, if I take a look at the RSI has formed a double top at around 60 odd levels. So this is the 60 mark. As you can clearly see, RSI has made a double top. So this is again a significant sign which tells that there's weakness in the stock and can slide lower.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Thanks so much for that. Kunal, what's your sense on MGL?
So when I'm trying to look at the weekly chart, what he highlighted is perfect. But when I come to daily chart, on the daily chart, I'm seeing that from today's bottom, the stock is again reversing. It's been November since now. The stock is in the broad consolidation zone of 1000 to 1030, 35. So I'll wait for the stock to fall below say 1000 at least. That would be the first trigger to go short. Till then, I'll avoid the counter.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. His chart, Kunal's second chart, is on Bajaj Finserv. Let's pull up the chart. Bajaj Finance and Finserv have been slightly weak over the past few days, but yes, why are you negative on the counter?
So we are looking at the weekly chart, and that's the sign of topping out, and today we are getting the confirmation on the weekly chart. If you look at this entire broader formation, the stock is exactly halting at the resistance mark, which is already highlighted. 2 weeks before, there was a shooting star formation, followed by again shooting star formation, and today is a clear bearish weekly candle which is turning up. If I look at this just last formation, it's a clear rising wedge formation. The trigger would come below this level itself, but because the candlesticks are supporting and the risk reward is favorable, I feel the short can be created here itself. Again, when I come to RSI, when the prices are making equal highs or even higher highs, the RSI is making same highs and probably falling now. So it's a little aggressive bet as of now, but certainly one can short at the present level itself, keeping the stop loss of 9,300, which is the previous candle high, and one can expect the counter to reach at least 8,000 mark, which is 11%.
Now, in how much time do you expect a level of?
So again, this is a weekly chart, so couple of months may take time. So looking at the magnitude of fall in the market presently, one can expect in 1.5 month time.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Aditya, what's your sense on Bajaj Finserv? Does it look negative to you?
Yes, definitely. Without a doubt, I'll go short on the stock. There's enormous weakness if I take a look at the monthly and the weekly time frame and the monthly time frame. So RSI started forming negative divergences on multiple time frame charts. On the daily chart, the last time such a pattern appeared, Bajaj Finserv fell from 8,600 odd levels all the way down to 7,000 odd levels. I'm not preempting such a big fall might just come through immediately, but at the moment I would go short. There's lack of momentum on the upside, somewhere around 9,000 or 8,900, which is trading right now. I would go short for targets of 8,500 initially, which happens to be the immediate support. If that is also taken out on the downside, I wouldn't be surprised if it tests sub 8,000 levels on the downside.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. I think consensus negative view that's coming in on Bajaj Finserv. Let's start with the third round. Aditya's third chart for today is Colgate Palmolive. Let's pull up the chart. Colgate of late has been doing well. Post the MSCI buying, they were selling, but again, there seemed to be a little bit of consolidation that's happening. What's your view on the counter?
So I believe, Darshan, post this consolidation, stock should resume its uptrend. So take a look at this low, and somewhere around post this correction, stock has actually managed to take support at this low, which was somewhere around September when the stock made that low. Now again, the stock somewhere around those levels has made a double bottom, and from there it has resumed its upward trend. It's trading on a positive note in trade today when markets are trading down. Along with that, if I take a look at the RSI has formed a positive reversal. We had spoken of negative reversal on Ashok Leyland. This is a positive reversal. What is positive reversal? RSI makes a lower low, whereas price makes the similar low or slightly higher low. What is the significance of that is stock went into oversold territory at an elevated level or at the same level. So at the same level, RSI went into oversold level. From there, stock has more room for upside. Now, if you flip to a higher time frame chart, we can clearly see why I'm so bullish on the stock is because this was an upward sloping channel from which stock had broken out in 2019, and post that sharp up move, it made a retest, and you can clearly see it's tested the neckline of that breakout zone, and from there it has again moved higher, and it's forming a sort of a hammer candlestick pattern in trade. This is on the weekly time frame, so this has more significance to it. So my sense is somewhere around these lows, stock should bounce back and should head higher to levels of somewhere around 1600 in the coming trading weeks. So one can start accumulating into Colgate Palmolive at current levels or on declines for targets of 1565 to about 1650 with a stop loss at 1435.
Okay, so it'll be a positional call.
It's more of a positional trade.
So till what level can someone accumulate? It's at 1480 right now.
Somewhere around 1400, you should definitely go ahead and accumulate the stock.
So you see another 80 rupee downside?
There can be. There could be. But I don't see that double bottom breakdown to happen. There's good volume-based buying which is seen in trade today. I believe that should continue in the follow-through trading sessions.
Okay, that's the view. Thank you so much for that. Kunal, what's your sense on Colgate?
So no, certainly this stock is, the way he's showing on the monthly chart and weekly chart, the stock is certainly into uptrend. At the same time, if I look at the daily chart, it's near to the previous bottom, 4 days consolidation, and today is a decisive move again. So keeping the stop loss of 1440, one can think of definitely going long. The last fall from 1640 to 1440 was a mono wave. So I think that entire wave should get retraced out very fast. So no, it's a great buying opportunity with the positive risk reward ratio.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Next up is Kunal with his chart on State Bank of India. Again, today it has been doing well, but today there seems to be a lot of selling pressure that's coming in on State Bank of India. What's your view on the counter?
So no, I wanted to actually highlight the last rally which began from October till now. The stock was clearly in uptrend, but it was losing out the momentum looking at the RSI. If I focus on the Bollinger Bands, there was a consolidation which was going on and it was taking the support. The trigger point was 331, 332. That was a level below which I was expecting the counter to fall sharply, and that happened today itself. So certainly there is a weakness on the counter. RSI, coming to RSI, it has completely given up. If you look at the prices, it's clearly in uptrend, but RSI did not make a new high. It was in the same trajectory and it fell sharply. So it can be labeled now as a sell on rise kind of counter. Keeping the stop loss of 335 to 340, one can think of shorting in this zone, which is 320 to 330, and on the lower side I expect the counter to reach 305 mark. That's the bare minimum level.
305.
Correct.
Okay, that's the view. Thanks so much for that. Aditya, what's your sense on State Bank?
It's already fallen significantly, Darshan, from 350 to about 320 odd levels in matter of no time. So I'll wait for a pullback in the stock before I look to go short. Somewhere around 315 to 316 is a very strong support zone on an immediate time frame. So I'll not look to go short at current levels. Probably if it pulls back to levels of 330, 335 again, then I might just look to go short on the stock, not at current levels. On the flip side, if it immediately turns down to levels of 320, I would look to go long with a stop somewhere around 315 for an upside target of 340.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on State Bank. Yash is back with his second chart this time around, and it's on Power Finance Corporation. Yash, what do you have for us?
Well, again, a negative call, Darshan, and this time around, obviously, we're using the proprietary Bloomberg indicator, which is the trender indicator. That has given a negative color change this time after the price has managed to fall below the mark of the trender. Obviously, we'll have to wait and watch as to where the price ends on a closing basis for it to give a final trigger. But as things stand currently, with the kind of sharp fall that we've seen in today's day of trade, the stock is significantly trading below the mark of trender, which is at 120. The stock is at 110 as of now. So clearly we will see that negative crossover happen, and on the daily basis, this is what the charts are indicating. But there is a lot of noise on the daily, so we are looking at the weekly chart as well of Power Finance Corporation. And an interesting thing to note over here is that when it reached the levels of almost 139, 140, it went down back to the levels of almost 90 and a half, and then at the mark of 120 is where it made its complete reversal of 61.8%. And for the last 2 consecutive weeks, we have seen weakness come in. Today we saw that sharp fall. So clearly there is a lot of resistance at the mark of 120, and at the current point, because of the kind of fall we have seen, it might be a better option to have a sell on rise kind of a strategy. But clearly the weakness is there, is what both the daily as well as the weekly time frame are indicating. The RSI too has given a negative divergence. The trender has given a color change as well.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on PFC. Do you agree? Is it a short?
Yes, completely. I would agree with Yash. He's given all the thesis why one should go short. I have nothing more to add to it. One can look to go short at current levels and on pullback to levels of 115, 114. My downside target would be sub 100 levels, considering the fact that the amount of selling that the stock is witnessing in trade today.
What's your sense on
So
PFC?
the entire rally, which started from 90 to 120, is taken out very decisively. So certainly it can be a sell on rise kind of counter. One can think of selling near to say 112.5, 105 to 115, that zone, which seems to be getting retested very soon, because that was a decisive breakdown level. So once near to that level, keeping the stop loss of 120, one can expect the counter to again come near to 90s.
Okay, we also need to address some buzzing stocks. So let's pull up the first one is Max Financial. Let's have the chart on the screen and see what exactly it's been doing for the past few days. Again, I'll move up. Aditya, you have a view on Max Financial. If you can come here and tell your view. Max Financial actually has managed to rally, trading at record highs. How does this chart look to you?
So it's a very strong looking chart, Darshan. But what we see right now is post this sharp up move that the stock posted, it's going through a consolidation right now. So my sense is once this consolidation of somewhere between 500 to about 530 is taken out on the upside, then probably the next leg of up move will start. But looking at the overall chart structure, this is a very strong looking chart. I would look to buy the stock either on decline to levels of 500 or on a breakout above this level of 530, 535, which I can see as a resistance acting right now, and add on to the position on a breakout above this resistance of 530. My sense is stock will replicate this move of 400 to 500 post this breakout of 530 and can easily test levels of 600 on the upside, given the fact that the consolidation was very long. If you take a look at this was about 1.5 years of consolidation. From there the stock has broken out, so the up move, pending up move will be significantly.
Okay, so it doesn't look like a short, it's a longer.
It's a long opportunity. It's a long opportunity. Probably somewhere around these levels of 500, I would look to go long rather than going short in the stock.
Okay, thanks for that. Kunal, you have a view. You can come here and explain your view. That's fine. Your view on Max Financial.
So now if we convert this chart onto weekly chart, I would request you to convert this chart onto weekly first.
It will be lightly difficult, but yeah.
Alright, so if you look at the weekly chart, in June 2018, the stock was somewhere in the zone of 530 itself, and it has reached the same level again, that is 525 to 530. If I look at the daily chart, there are big swings on the upper side, but the stock is not able to surpass that high. Looking at the massive consolidation and a mono wave which has emerged, I think there is a bright chance that the stock may come back to retest the breakout zone, which is placed somewhere in the zone of say 370s to 400 levels. So I would not really go and buy at this point of time. I'll wait for some kind of correction to come in. Once that correction comes in, I feel then on a weekly chart we may have an inverse head and shoulder kind of formation, or say cup and handle formation, a long consolidation, and then an uptrend which emerges can be easily captured.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in. Just hold on, Kunal. Let's pull up the next chart. I want to speak about Kotak Mahindra Bank also. This is also one stock which has actually managed to rally. The Nifty Bank is trading at lows, but Kotak is up almost 23 rupees. Does this look strong to you?
Absolutely. So if you look at the last leg of Kotak Bank on weekly chart, there was a symmetrical formation, and the symmetrical triangle breakout came here itself, which was very decisive. After that, there were 3 days pause, and again today is a very decisive breakout. So this can be an outperformer in the entire Bank Nifty. Keeping the stop loss of 1600, one can think of going long on the counter and expecting the stock of stock to reach 1850 to 1900 mark.
Okay, that's thanks so much for that. What's your sense, Aditya, if you can come? Kunal, in the meantime, I'll ask you for one stock recommendation. The markets are at days low, so if you can pick that up for our viewers, one stock that they should trade right now, I'll give you that time. Till the time I'll.
So this is a very interesting chart, Darshan. Kotak Mahindra Bank. I'll just go back to somewhere between May, June in Kotak Mahindra Bank. There was a long consolidation in the stock, and from there we'd seen a breakout in the month of September. Now, if we clearly look at that consolidation, and if you look at this consolidation, both the consolidations look extremely similar in nature, and it's broken out in trade today. When Bank Nifty is trading weak, this is trading almost at the high point of the day. So my sense is this is a very strong looking chart, and the counter is trading on strong hands. I would look to go long in the stock at current levels. My immediate target will be around 1775, and if it crosses 1775, my sense is it can test 1850 as well on the upside. So any correction to this support level of 1650 is a buying opportunity. Even at current levels, one can go long and put a stop somewhere around 1550 for an upside target of
have they been, see, the move is very strong.
Yes.
Have the volumes also been strong?
Yes.
Have you noticed
volumes were missing during this consolidation. What is interesting in trade today, volumes are there. It's trading on healthy volumes. It's just 12 half of trading session. My sense is by the end of the trading sessions, volume will be significantly higher than the average 10-day or the 20-day moving average volumes.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Aditya. I request you to also look at one stock which our viewers can take position right now, at least for a short-term trade. Have you identified a stock?
Absolutely. So when the markets are looking weak, I'm trying to find out some short opportunities, and that's in ICICI Bank again.
Okay, so I'll tell my producer to pull up the chart of ICICI Bank. Remember, ICICI Bank has been a marked outperformer of late. It has moved up significantly. It's trading at 530, managing to hold on to that level. If we can have We'll have to wait, but at least in the meantime, you can come here and at least explain, and we'll have the chart, explain why you think ICICI Bank, despite such a strong move, strong volume, why is it a short at this point?
So no, if I try to look at the last entire rally, last show itself, we were discussing about the stock to break 493 and post that going short on the counter, but it did not close below that level and the rally continued. If I try to make a trend line right from the top itself, it's forming a rising wedge, and the same trend line is making resistance as of now. Yesterday there was a shooting star formation on the daily chart, and today it's a doji formation. So I'm looking out for the stock to make the day's low, which is 527. Below 527, one can think of going short on the counter, keeping the stop loss of 533. I expect the counter to at least come down to 5.
So no trade right now, only if it goes below 527
Correct.
would you short?
Because today's candle is indecisive.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for the low to be taken out. If the low is taken out, certainly one can expect the counter to reach 515.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Kunal. What's your sense? ICICI, would you short?
I wouldn't short, Darshan. There is negative divergence on multiple time frame charts, but prices don't confirm that. Prices continue to trend higher. So for the time being, I'll wait for the stock to give any breakdown, any sort of a breakdown. Till the time stock gives a breakdown below levels of 525 to about 520, I'll not go short on ICICI Bank.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming on ICICI, which is your stock that if someone wants to trade right now, either long side version, but at least a short-term trade for a trader or something, which is a stock
probably a day trade or a couple of day trade can be ITC. ITC is looking weak at the moment.
Yeah, we'll have the chart, and you can come here. ITC is something is trading at day's low of 243. It will take a few. Yeah. So
yes.
ITC.
Clearly take a look at the chart.
It's a long or short first?
It's a short trade.
It's a short
trade. It's a clear short trade. Post a sharp downward move that the stock posted from levels of 310 to about 240. Stock went into an upward sloping channel. If I draw a trend line joining the lows, I get an upward sloping channel, the lows and the highs. And what we witnessed in trade yesterday was a sharp up move. It tested the breakdown neckline, and today it's reversed completely. Such a big move in trade yesterday has been reversed in half a trading session. There's a significant down move that the stock is posting, and it's a bearish engulfing pattern that we're witnessing. My sense is one can look to go short at current levels. I see a downside level of 230 easily on the stock.
Okay.
At current levels of 243, one can look to go short. Add on to it on pullback to levels of 245, 246. Put a stop somewhere around 250, and you can easily see levels of 230 in like 3 to 4 trading sessions. As short as that.
Thank you so much. And your final word on ITC, how are you looking at it?
So no, the same way. Yesterday's entire candle is decisively taken out today. So same way, if the bottom is taken out, certainly this can be a best short-term trade. One can think of going short on the counter.
Okay, so I think it's a consensus short that's coming in on ITC at this point of time, but we're completely timed out on this edition of Hot Money. Let me thank my guests, Aditya and Kunal, who've been coming to the studio. Thank you so much for coming in today. Ask BQ comes up next. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint.